Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. To stabilize is to normalize. To stabilize sensorality is to normalize sensorality. So I wanted to open up by introducing again, trying to reduce all of this logic to this one single statement, including all of the words that I say that seem like they're outside of derivation. I just have to build a big logical structure and then show you the syllability, sen and sor, pairing up to another statement, sensorality is. It will show the direct iteration of the letters. It will like completely use the letters and there'll be some remainder because all systems are open, and that remainder will be the form of the next word. And so, because remember the syllables are the unique thing, the words kind of are, or words are irreducible. Languages kind of exist, I mean they do, but they're just like orders of resonance. That's why the French accent sounds like shit, as we made, and the German accent sounds like German, and so on and so forth. And so, sensorality is speechlessness. Sensorality is sleepiness. Sleep is dormant. Dormant is inactive. Sensorality is activality. Activity, activality. Activality activates. So activality activates is what I have called, but what is a natural definition. So that's another cumbersome part of this derivation is, like, I will say something because it's not proven yet, but it has nothing unique to me. So like I said activality activates is a natural definition. Words are naturally defined. And so it's very cumbersome to try to introduce this and you jump in and out of like the actual derivation. Actuality is literality. Sideways is lateral. Lateral, late. Front, back, and side. And so another one of these interesting intuitive directional considerations is, right, you have a front, it's well-defined front. Previously I asked what is back. Like that kind of came up as like the intuition of back and down. Like primitively, if you're an animal and you show your force, the other animal backs down. But just again, why is logic forcing those two words together? We just ask the question, what is back? But front is well defined, back is well defined. Sometimes back means dorsal. But side, right? Side is not directionally unique, right? This is the front of my body, this is the back of my body. But the side of my body, I have to say left side or right side. So just another, again, pointing out any logical inconsistency, or like what we're doing is we're backfilling all of the logic. Like we're literally driving up into, again, some simple statement that will make very clear sense and the letters will just iterate. But sensorality sides. Sensorality is interference. Interference, inference. Sensorality fears, right? Inanimate objects do not have fear. Fear, interference. An accomplishment is a feat. Accomplishment, complement. Synergy, complements. Sentience is the base of sensorality. Right? Why we censor things is because of sentience. What we think is good and bad, what we feel, the sentiment, the connotation, the implication of our different actions, of different information. And so sentience, the ability to sensate that produces sensation, your ability to feel determines what we censor and how we censor it. Connection is the base of sensation, right? If you touch something, right, touch is contact, but you're not actually touching because the electric charge repulses. And so, do I want to say anything more? Because again, the words, like I said, there's not much to say. The words will always contain all of the meaning, but it's just jumping in and out of I have not completely derived sensorality yet. Because at the end of speciality, it was just speciality is special with an ITY. It's going to get that form of reduction. We pair up the syllables, it goes into a new word form. That new word form is something we use already every single day. It's some form of sensor, sentience, something like that. The next operable word will be filtration, or something to that effect. And then again, the solidifying, the stabilizing linguistics is that censorship with a C is really spelled censorship with an S. To be consistent with, again, sense, sentience, sexuality, sensuality, so on and so forth. How does shape relate to aesthetic? right? So here's another kind of a really kind of a nuance, but a genuine question. It's like, what words do you capitalize the first letters? And I make a YouTube video and I'm titling it. You know, you get some very, very weak explanation in like grade school. You should, you know, capitalize proper nouns and don't capitalize other things. Pretty much all of my formatting, like when I'm doing a title, whether it's a, again, I haven't really written a book, but like in my handwritten notes or my derivation books, the formatting is all based on aesthetic, and that's all emergent from, again, these fundamental geometric relationships that are present in language. And so like I typically capitalize, like I just started this book, Prisoners of Geography, and so I capitalize the O, because to me aesthetically, visually, again, the symmetry is kind of like what you're trying to line up, and when you have a capital letter to lowercase letter, a lot of times that aesthetic is thrown off by changing capital to lowercase letters. And so now we still have a logical reason to say, like, why should you capitalize letters? And I really just think because, again, there's geometric relations within the shapes that represent the sounds, the letters. And so you just kind of like pairing it up, you're doing some sort of geometric reduction when you're capitalizing or not capitalizing a letter. And there's been never, like I said, there's never been a well-articulated reason why you should or shouldn't capitalize certain words. Proper nouns, I mean, kind of differentiates, I guess, something. But I just think you should definitely do formatting, all of it, writing, typing, based off of aesthetic in general. It's just something that came up for sure. And so that's another like weird, like these different derivation things, but they're logical, right? You went to school and someone said, you know, you capitalize this letter, and you said why, and then you got some dog shit response. It's like, it's all arbitrary, like everything is generally relative, but things do have meaning, things are definite within that context. Or we could sit here and say no words have meaning, but that's not true. It's evidently not true because you're following along what I'm saying. And so I was also playing around with, again, yesterday we talked about consistency, right? If I said up, down, square, blue, red, right? Is that logically consistent? Again, a consistent sentence, a complete sentence has a noun and a verb. It's completeness to consistency in that sense. And we're solving all of these things in generality, but that's the intuition I'm using. It's completeness and consistency. Like, what's the relationship there? Again, I know I've already posed that. We're going to hit some redundancy. I'm on a personal level just trying to find the right conceptualization, and then the base words will pair up. But what is a map to a graph, right? Cartographers produce maps. We have graph theory when you're doing a mathematical graph or just a graph in general. And it's very here, you can clearly hear me when I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about, like building up the specificity of a proof. And so you can hear this, right? The question is, you know, what's a map to a graph? And then I said a mathematical graph kind of instinctually. And it says like these adjectives, again, provide more specificity, right? Adjectives increase specificity. Our visiting scholar Waffles is back. I like Waffles. I like all the dogs. Dogs bark, that's fine. It just kind of sucks when you don't have a place to work as a designated office when you've already accomplished what I've done mathematically. But a map to a graph, again, map intuitively would come from, I think, like a navigating map would come before like a graph, like a chart for a graph, like a plot, right? A graph is a plot, X versus Y. A map, I would say, is also a graph. And again, this logical exclusivity. Nothing is mutually exclusive, right? I am a thing, but I'm not all things, right? I'm a subset. And so that logical unilaterality, I guess, I hate the word unilateral, but I just try to use it. That doesn't really make any sense because there's that dichotomy of two, right? You have directions, up, down, left, right, forward, backward. Unilaterality doesn't really exist. But again, me included, as long as you can get the intuition right? Language truly is horseshoes and hand grenades. And as I said before, it's not a performance, right? I'm literally talking out all of the logical steps you could possibly have. Literally what I'm doing, proof by logical exhaustion, is saying, okay, here's a physical process, censorship. We spell it a certain way. It's clearly not consistent. And as long as we can define and describe that process completely, it has to fit in with all of the rest of science. That includes the axiomatization of physics, which isn't known, which includes, demonstrating the incompleteness theorem, which again, this is the process, right? Sensorality is the answer. What is it? We verified the solution. We've proven the consistency in the spelling months ago. What is it? Filtration. Prove it. I'm trying. I'm trying. But so this is the demonstration of the incompleteness theorem. And so, well, that's not the specific goal, but it also, in doing this process, shows you that there's solutions that exist, and then is it easy to verify what the solutions are? No. But yeah, and so anything is a subset of everything. Subsets are derivative. I debated putting subsets are derivatives or subset are derivative. But you have something, you have a base, you have something less based on that base. It's a subset, it's derivative from a base. And then I was saying something else that I kind of lost my track on. But the proof by logical exhaustion, again, it's just, I'm basically overall saying is like, again, physical processes exist, and then I can say what words or what logical structure outside of even like language, right? If you're sitting there tapping your pen in a certain order, you're going to develop what's considered logic. And so I'm just saying, how is any way, here's a physical process, and if I describe everything that could possibly be said around this subject, around this topic, around this thing, and we've already derived the entire structure of language, there's nothing else left. And so most people will be like, that's not possible, but I've already done it. And this is the second time I've done it publicly, and then through my lifetime, I've done it 4 times. I said I'm 32, and it takes about 7 years for this iteration to show this completeness. And so my life's been hell, to say the absolute minimum. But anything is arbitrary. What would you like for dinner? I'll take anything. You're going out with your girlfriend, your wife. What do you want for dinner? Anything. How about Fazoli's? Nope. How about McDonald's? Nope. How about P.F. Chang's? Nope. So you didn't really mean anything. The point being is anything is a subset of everything. Sensorality is anything. And so just trying to find that stabilizing syllability, sensorality is the direct iteration of the letters, and then it'll stabilize the theorem. Our remainder will be the form of the next solution. And so continuing on, again, my constitutional rights continue to be violated. It causes me profound and extensive stress. I am the victim of every major crime that exists, besides being murdered. Clearly that hasn't happened yet. Haven't put it off the table, and certainly didn't put it off the table when the stuff first started happening, and the immediate thing you realize is, holy shit, all of this physics stuff is already known. You're like, oh boy, this is fun. But regardless, to those people, again, you've paid off so many people into the tens of millions of dollars. Why can't you just give me a little bit of property that I rightfully earned? I don't even care about disclosure. I don't care about anything besides myself. Selfishness is part of being alive, but this world is such a free-for-all. I have no problem saying it directly to anybody. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.